waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning again and again, night after night. It's not a small inconvenience for adults over the age of 60. It is something far more serious. It is a direct interruption of your body's most critical repair window. The hours when your brain resets, your muscles recover, your immune system recalibrates, and your hormones And when this pattern becomes routine, it is not random. It is your body sending a message that something is no longer aligned. What surprises most people is this. The habit you believe is supporting your health may actually be causing the problem. That final glass of plain water before bed, the one you were told was good for you, may be the exact reason you keep waking up in the dark. It sounds harmless, responsible, even, but after 60, your body no longer responds to nighttime hydration the way it once did. Here is what has quietly changed. As we age, the body produces less antidiuretic hormone, often called ADH. This hormone's job is simple but essential. It tells the kidneys to slow urine production at night so you can stay asleep. When ADH levels decline, your kidneys do not get that message. Fluid passes through faster. At the same time, the bladder itself becomes less elastic and more sensitive. It sends urgency signals earlier and more aggressively than it used to. The result is predictable. Even a modest amount of plain water can pull you out of deep sleep and force you to the bathroom. But the issue goes deeper than mechanics. Plain water, especially at night, is biologically empty. It contains no calming minerals, no sleep-supportive amino acids, no compounds that help the brain stay in a restorative rhythm. It fills the bladder without giving your nervous system anything in return. That is the real mistake, not drinking before bed, but drinking the wrong thing. I am Dr. Richard Coleman. For more than 3 decades, my work has focused almost exclusively on the physiology of adults in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. I am not interested in sleep tricks or quick fixes that work for a week and fail after that. My role is to explain what is actually happening inside your body and show you how to work with those changes instead of fighting them. In this discussion, I am not going to tell you to stop drinking fluids at night and risk dehydration. That advice is both unrealistic and unsafe. Instead, I am going to show you what to drink instead, specific, targeted options that support sleep rather than sabotage it. These are beverages chosen not for tradition or trends, but because of how they interact with aging hormones, nerves, muscles, and brain chemistry. We will walk through 5 smart nighttime drinks. Each one serves a different purpose: calming the nervous system, stabilizing minerals, lowering nighttime stress hormones, or supporting physical repair while you sleep. And I encourage you to stay with me all the way through, because the final option is the most powerful. It does not simply help you fall asleep, actively enhances overnight recovery, supporting joints, muscles, and connective tissue while you rest. Many people notice a difference in how they feel the very next morning. Before we go further, I want to pause briefly. It helps me understand who I am speaking to. If you are watching this, take a moment to leave a comment sharing where you are joining from. We read these messages carefully, and they shape the conversations we continue to have. And if this information resonates with you, consider sharing it with someone you care about. Sleep loss is one of the most underestimated threats to long-term health after 60. Now, let us return to the root of the issue. Plain water is essential during the day. At night, however, for an aging body, it creates 2 distinct problems. The first is physical, which we have already touched on. Reduced ADH, increased kidney output, and a bladder that no longer tolerates volume the way it once did. This alone is enough to fragment sleep. The second problem is neurological. Sleep is not passive. Your brain requires specific signals and nutrients to move smoothly through the stages of rest, especially deep, slow wave sleep. Plain water provides none of them. It does not relax muscle fibers. It does not calm nerve firing. It does not contribute to melatonin production. It simply adds volume. The solution is not restriction. The solution is replacement, choosing a drink that delivers calming compounds while being absorbed in a way that supports cellular hydration rather than immediate elimination. The first alternative is gentle, familiar, and effective. Warm, unsweetened almond milk. This is an excellent starting point, especially for older adults who no longer tolerate traditional dairy well. Lactose sensitivity becomes more common with age, and digestive discomfort alone can interfere with sleep. Unsweetened almond milk avoids this entirely. Its benefit comes from two key components. The first is tryptophan, an essential amino acid that your body cannot make on its own. Tryptophan is the raw material your brain uses to produce serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with calm, emotional stability, and a sense of well-being. At night, serotonin is converted into melatonin, the hormone that governs your sleep-wake cycle. When tryptophan availability is low, this entire process becomes less efficient. The second component is magnesium. Magnesium plays a crucial role in nervous system regulation. It acts as a natural brake, preventing nerves from firing excessively and allowing muscles to release tension. Many adults over 60 are unknowingly deficient in magnesium, and nighttime muscle tightness, restlessness, and shallow sleep are common signs. A small amount is all that is needed. About 120 to 150 milliliters, roughly half, a small teacup gently warmed, taken an hour to an hour and a half before bed. This is not meant to be filling. It is meant to signal safety and calm to the nervous system. Almond milk provides nutritional support, but nutrition is not always the primary issue. For some people, the real obstacle is a mind that refuses to slow down. The body is tired, but the thoughts keep coming. Concerns replay, conversations repeat, and the brain remains alert long after the lights are off. This is where the second option becomes invaluable. Chamomile tea. Chamomile's effectiveness is not folklore or placebo. Its primary active compound, apigenin, has been studied extensively. Apigenin is able to cross the blood-brain barrier and bind directly to GABA receptors in the brain. GABA is the nervous system's main inhibitory neurotransmitter. Its job is to reduce overstimulation and quiet excessive neural activity. When stress accumulates and, for many older adults, GABA signaling becomes less effective. The brain enters a state of overactive. Apigenin enhances GABA's ability to do its job, producing a gentle, non-addictive, calming effect. This is fundamentally different from prescription sleep medications, which often suppress brain activity unnaturally and disrupt normal sleep architecture. Chamomile does not force sleep. It facilitates the body's own shutdown process. Preparation matters. Steep 1 tea bag for 5 to 7 minutes, then allow it to cool slightly. Drink it warm, not hot, about 45 to 60 minutes before bed. Do not add sugar or honey. Even a small spike in blood sugar can lead to a later insulin response, followed by a rebound release of stress hormones that may wake you in the early morning hours. At this point, we have addressed two common issues: lack of sleep-supportive nutrients and an overactive mind. But there is another hidden factor that frequently disrupts sleep after 60, often without people realizing it. This factor is mineral and electrolyte balance. Subtle imbalances can make nerves hyperreactive and muscles unstable. The result may be nighttime leg cramps, restless sensations in the limbs, or a bladder that feels jumpy and unpredictable. This leads us to the third option, one that often surprises people: lightly warmed, diluted coconut water. Used correctly, coconut water can support nighttime stability because of its natural electrolyte profile, particularly potassium and magnesium. Potassium is essential for proper nerve signaling and muscle relaxation. When levels are low, nerves misfire and muscles contract involuntarily. The bladder itself is a muscle. When nerve signals are unstable, it can contract prematurely, sending urgency signals even when it is not full. Supporting electrolyte balance can help calm this system. However, this option requires precision. Coconut water should never be consumed cold at night, as cold fluids can increase urinary output. It must be gently warmed and diluted daily. Half coconut water, half warm water. The amount should be small, no more than 100 to 120 milliliters total, and it should be consumed earlier in the evening, preferably at least 2 hours before bed. There is also an important medical caution. Individuals with kidney disease or those taking potassium-altering medications must consult their physician before using this option. Up to this point, we have focused on nutrients, nerves, and minerals. In the next section, we will address the hormone that often overrides all of them: cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, and how to guide it back into a nighttime rhythm that allows true, deep sleep for many people over 60. Even after addressing hydration, minerals, and a racing mind, sleep still feels fragile. You may fall asleep more easily, yet still wake too early, or wake feeling unrested. When this happens, there is usually one master regulator at play, one hormone that quietly overrides everything else if it is out of balance. That hormone is cortisol. Cortisol is often misunderstood. It is not a bad hormone. In fact, it is essential for survival. Cortisol follows a natural circadian rhythm in a healthy system. Levels rise sharply in the early morning to help you wake up, focus, and mobilize energy. As the day progresses, cortisol should gradually decline, reaching its lowest point at night. This drop is what allows your nervous system to stand down and your body to enter deep, restorative sleep. The problem is that for many older adults, this rhythm becomes distorted. Cortisol no longer falls at night. Instead, it remains elevated, keeping the body in a low-grade state of alertness. You may lie in a dark, quiet room, but internally, your physiology is behaving as if it is still daytime. Your heart rate stays slightly elevated. Your muscles remain tense. Your brain remains vigilant. This is the state people describe as tired but wired. Chronic stress, inflammation, blood sugar, instability, and even unresolved pain can all keep cortisol elevated at night. And once this pattern sets in, no amount of willpower can override it. Sleep becomes shallow, fragmented, and unrefreshing. This brings us to the fourth nighttime drink, one specifically chosen for its ability to support cortisol regulation rather than simply sedation. Golden milk. Golden milk is centered on turmeric, one of the most studied anti-inflammatory compounds in nutritional medicine. The active ingredient in turmeric is curcumin on its own. Curcumin is poorly absorbed. However, when paired with a small amount of black pepper, specifically a compound called piperine, its absorption increases dramatically. Why does this matter for sleep? Curcumin has been shown to interact with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, often referred to as the HPA axis. This is the command system that controls your stress response and cortisol output. When the HPA axis is overstimulated, cortisol remains elevated, even when it should not be. Curcumin helps modulate this system, gently reducing excessive stress signaling rather than shutting it down entirely. This distinction is important. Golden milk does not act like a sleeping pill. It does not force unconsciousness. Instead, it helps restore a natural hormonal rhythm, one where cortisol is allowed to fall at night, making space for deep sleep to occur. There is also a secondary benefit that should not be underestimated. Curcumin's anti-inflammatory properties work throughout the night, helping to reduce joint stiffness, muscle soreness, and low-grade inflammation. Pain, even when mild, is a powerful sleep disruptor. Reducing inflammation removes another barrier to uninterrupted rest. Preparation matters. Use half a teaspoon of turmeric powder and a very small pinch of black pepper, stirred into about 150 milliliters of warm non-dairy milk, such as almond milk. Drink it slowly, about 1 hour before bed. This drink is about signaling safety and calm to the body, not about immediate drowsiness. At this stage, we have addressed 4 major contributors to nighttime waking: bladder sensitivity, nervous system overactivity, mineral imbalance, and elevated cortisol. But there is one more layer to restorative sleep that is often completely overlooked: overnight physical repair. Sleep is not just for the brain. It is when your body performs its most intensive maintenance work. Muscles are repaired. Connective tissue is reinforced. Cartilage, tendons, and ligaments undergo renewal. After 60, this repair process becomes less efficient, not because it stops, but because the raw materials and signaling molecules are often insufficient. This brings us to the fifth and final drink, one that is unique because it supports both sleep quality and overnight recovery at the same time. Warm gelatin, or a high quality, low sodium, bone broth. The key compound here is glycine. Glycine is an amino acid with remarkable effects on sleep physiology. First, it acts as an inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain, helping to quiet excessive neural activity. This alone can shorten the time it takes to fall asleep. But glycine does something even more important. It helps lower core body temperature. A small drop just 1 or 2 degrees is one of the strongest biological signals your body uses to initiate deep sleep. If your body temperature remains elevated, sleep becomes light and fragmented. Glycine facilitates this cooling process from the inside. Even more significantly, glycine has been shown to increase time spent in slow-wave sleep. This is the deepest, most restorative stage of sleep phase, responsible for tissue repair, immune recalibration, and metabolic cleanup in the brain. More time in slow-wave sleep means waking up feeling genuinely restored, not just unconscious, for several hours. Gelatin is essentially cooked collagen. By consuming it before bed, you provide your body with the building blocks it needs, precisely when repair activity is highest. While you are in glycine-supported deep sleep, your body uses these amino acids to repair muscles, strengthen joints, support skin integrity, and maintain connective tissue. After 60, collagen synthesis declines naturally. Supplying these raw materials at the right time just before sleep makes the repair process far more efficient. The method is simple. Dissolve 1 teaspoon of unflavored high-quality gelatin powder into about 120 milliliters of warm water. Stir until fully dissolved and sip slowly 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Alternatively, a small cup of low-sodium bone broth can provide similar benefits. At this point, many people make a critical mistake. They hear about these drinks, try one once or twice, and conclude that it didn't work. In nearly every case, the issue is not the drink itself, but how it was used. This is where protocol matters. First, volume is non-negotiable. All of these drinks must be kept small, 100 to 150 milliliters at most. More than this simply overloads the bladder and undermines the goal. Second, timing is essential. These drinks should be consumed 60 to 90 minutes before bed, not immediately before lying down. This window allows nutrients to be absorbed and gives your body time to process the fluid. Third, bladder preparation is critical. After finishing your drink and completing your evening routine, you must empty your bladder immediately before getting into bed, even if the urge feels mild. Starting the night with an empty bladder dramatically reduces nighttime awakenings. Fourth, understand absorption. Thicker, nutrient-dense drinks like gelatin, golden milk, and almond milk are more likely to support cellular hydration rather than rapid elimination. Teas and coconut water are more diuretic and should generally be used earlier in the evening. Fifth, sip slowly. Gulping triggers a rapid kidney response. Slow sipping encourages gradual absorption and stability. Finally, be methodical. Do not experiment with everything at once. Choose the option that best matches your primary issue racing thoughts, muscular discomfort, stress, or early waking. Try it consistently for 3 to 5 nights. Observe how you feel, not just during the night, but in the morning. Waking at 2 or 3 in the morning is not an unavoidable consequence of aging. It is a signal, a message that your body needs a different kind of nighttime support. When you respond correctly, sleep can become deep, stable, and restorative again. By now, you can see that nighttime waking is not caused by a single failure in the body. It is the result of small systems falling out of coordination, hydration, working against hormones. StressOverriding.com. Repair processes being When these pieces are corrected together, sleep does not just improve. However, there is one final layer that determines whether these strategies truly work or quietly fail. It is not about what you drink, but how your body is trained to respond at night. The nervous system thrives on patterns. When your brain senses predictability, it allows deeper levels of rest. When it senses inconsistency, it remains guarded. This is why many people can fall asleep easily in one environment, but not another. or why sleep deteriorates during travel or stress. Your goal is to create a nightly physiological signal that says, without doubt, the day is over. Your chosen nighttime drink becomes part of that signal. Consistency matters more than novelty. Drinking the same supportive beverage at roughly the same time each evening teaches your nervous system what comes next. Over time, the calming response begins before the drink is even finished. This is not psychological, it is conditioned physiology. There are also several common mistakes that quietly undermine success, even when the right drink is chosen. The first is temperature. Cold beverages at night increase sympathetic nervous system activity. They force the body to generate heat, raising core temperature when it should be falling. Every drink discussed should be warm, never cold, and never iced. The second mistake is sweetness. Even natural sweeteners can trigger blood sugar fluctuations. A rise followed by a drop in glucose can activate stress hormones in the early morning hours, precisely when you want stability. Nighttime drinks should be unsweetened. The third mistake is multitasking. Drinking while scrolling, watching stressful news, or responding to messages keeps the brain engaged. Your drink should be consumed during a quiet, low stimulation period. This allows its physiological effects to integrate fully. There is also an important distinction to make between sedation and restoration. Many sleep aids create unconsciousness without true recovery. You may sleep longer, yet wake feeling heavy, foggy, or sore. The strategies discussed here are different. They aim to improve sleep, architecture, the quality, and depth of sleep, not just duration. This is why people often report subtle but meaningful changes first. Fewer early awakenings, less stiffness in the morning, clearer thinking, more emotional steadiness. These are signs that deeper sleep stages are being restored. It is also important to recognize that your needs may change over time. What works during periods of stress may differ from what works when stress subsides. Chamomile may be ideal during anxious periods. Gelatin may be more helpful during times of physical strain or joint discomfort. Almond milk may support ongoing maintenance. There is no single permanent answer, only appropriate responses to current needs. If you are still waking early, despite following these protocols, consider one additional factor. Evening stimulation, bright light exposure, especially from screens, suppresses melatonin production. No drink can fully override this. Dimming lights, limiting screens, and creating a calm pre-bed environment amplify the effectiveness of every strategy discussed. You should also consider your daytime hydration habits. Drinking most of your fluids earlier in the day reduces nighttime demand. Nighttime drinks should be supportive, not compensatory. One more critical point must be addressed. Medications. Certain blood pressure, drugs, diuretics, and antidepressants can alter nighttime urination and sleep architecture. If sleep disruption began after a medication change, this should be discussed with your physician. The strategies here can still help, but underlying contributors must be acknowledged. What matters most is this: waking in the night is not a character flaw, not a lack of discipline, and not an inevitable decline. It is a biological signal. When you learn to interpret it correctly, you regain control. Sleep is when your body does its most important work. It is when inflammation is reduced, memory is consolidated, muscles are repaired, and resilience is rebuilt. Protecting sleep is one of the most powerful forms of preventive medicine available after 60. You do not need to overhaul your life. You do not need extreme interventions. You need alignment hydration that supports hormones, nutrients that calm nerves, timing that respects physiology, and consistency that trains the nervous system to let go. Choose one strategy. Apply it carefully. Observe without judgment. Adjust if needed. Your body is not broken, it is communicating, and when sleep becomes deep again, the benefits extend far beyond the night. Energy returns, pain softens, mood stabilizes, clarity improves. The body remembers how to repair itself. That process can begin tonight.